Welcome back to another episode of the Sister Talk podcast. I'm your sister, Gold Chain Diva. Listen, I'm just having too much fun with these sound effects, but I'm just a sister with a lot to talk about. And I know y'all know I always got a lot to talk about. So I hope you all have been having an amazing week. I know it's been a little rainy. This weather is a little bipolar. We haven't completely gotten into summer yet, but I hope you all are off to a great start and had a great week. What's been going on with your sister? Listen, let me tell y'all something. Um, I know we talked about this on the last episode, and we talk about it often because the dating pool, is very septic, okay? It's looking real hopeless out here for everybody, okay? I can't put my finger on why because it's just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Every day, something else happens that helps me realize that nothing is off the table. Nothing is off the table. Nothing that anybody does surprises me anymore because I'm just like, oh my God, like it doesn't get worse than this. I hope not. But your sister went on a date last week. I tried to go out on a date with the guy that I met on Hinge. We had been communicating for a period of time. And mind you, this guy had been pursuing me like, intently, like, or seemingly intently. And so, we set a date, we set a place. Now, mind you, your sister lives in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Okay. This guy, he lived in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, this is the thing. Y'all know I'm from Baltimore, so I have family in Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore pretty often, so it's like, okay, whatever. Like, it could be a intimidating situation to have to leave the town that you live in to go to another town to meet somebody. But I was just like, you know what? I go there all the time, so it's a comfortable place. I'm familiar with it. Whatever. Let's go ahead. Let's give it a try. So myself and this guy, we have been communicating about, just meeting up with each other. We set a date, we set a time, he set a place. So we were communicating. We talked the night before, confirmed plans. The next morning, we confirmed plans again. We were checking in. I said, hey, I'm leaving now. Hey, I'm getting a little closer. Okay, all the good stuff just to make sure that we're both on the same page, right? So then I get a little closer. I get about 30 minutes away from the destination. And I text him. I say, hey, I'm 30 minutes out, da 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 da. He's like, oh, because he takes care of his grandmother full time, I suppose. I was still, trying to figure out who he was. So I don't 100% know, but I know this is what he told me. He told me he takes care of his grandmother and that he was waiting on someone else to come and relieve him of his duty. I was like, okay, cool. I'm a sensitive person, very understanding. He said his uncle would be there at 1:30. Now, mind you, my estimated time to get to the destination was 1:30. So I was like, okay, expectation set. I know I got to wait a little while when I get there because he's waiting on his uncle. Okay. So I get to the destination. I say, hey, I'm here. I sit there. I sit there. I sit there. I sit there. And next thing I know, 30 minutes goes by. And I'm like, okay, let me call this man and see what's going on. I call him. No answer. I waited 5 minutes. I called back. No answer. I said, okay, this is not looking good for me. This is not looking good for your sister. So then he texts me. He takes about, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 minutes after I called the second time. And he texts me. He says, I'm on the phone with my uncle now. He claims that he's 10 minutes away, but he's with some female, such and such and such. I'm like, oh, so you're on your best BS. Okay. So at that point, I'm like, well, what do you want me to do, sir? Because now I've been sitting here for about 45 minutes to an hour after driving an hour and a half. At this point, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I have not eaten anything all day. So what is it that you want me to do? More crickets. This man had no solutions for me. I'm like, okay, well, I got a solution for us. So I got out the car. I said, you know what? I didn't drive this far just to not do anything. So I went in ate some food. Was amazing. The meal was awesome. Had no complaints about what I got. Got a French toast combo. I highly recommend what it was. I think it was called Bond House down in Fells Point, Maryland. Free promo, whatever. But I'm not gonna lie. Listen, this man, he never. Long story short, because he don't deserve no more of my time or attention. Long story short, this man never showed up. Long story short, this man never apologized for wasting my time. Long story short, he rid himself out of the game. And it's one of those situations I had to charge it to the game. I said, you know what? People get stood up all the time. It is what it is. At least I got a good meal out of the situation. And at least I was in a city where I could find something else to do quickly. So I can't say that my feelings weren't hurt because I feel like I'm getting tired of constantly putting myself in these environments to be able to meet people and enjoy spending time with somebody for them to constantly just waste my time. But hey, it is what it is, growing pains, nobody said growing will be easy. So hey, here we are. Well, anyway, guys, I plan to spill the tea. It's time to spill the tea, okay? Pinkies up. Spill the tea. Let's spill the tea. Now, there's a popular trend that's going on TikTok right now, okay? And I'm sure you all saw it. Last season we talked about the Hardwick soft life era. Okay, that was paying homage to the black ladies who date white guys. Okay, so now TikTok has the black wife effect. Now, if you haven't seen what the black wife effect is, the black wife effect basically is a white gentleman normally, or somebody who's not black, a man that's not black, but who is with a black woman. So what he does is he shows pictures of him before he met his wife or significant other. And then it shows what he looks like after his black wife. And let me tell you that I'm totally here for this trend. I'm totally here for this trend. Like literally, I'm sitting there like, oh, like, listen, you can visibly see the little sprinkles of black girl magic, okay? I love to see it. I love to see how, these men feel like their woman has bigged them up and turned them into somebody better. Love to see it. Now, the problem that I have with the situation, though, is that, of course, we can't have anything. Oh, look, God forbid somebody gives a black woman a compliment. God forbid, okay? These men are so miserable. And I know you might say, well, equity and inclusion for everyone. But let me tell you something. These men, they always got to do something. They can never just let us have our shine. Now we got black men who are having their white wife effect. And the internet is underwhelmed. Some of the comments I've seen, I'm just cracking up because like literally everybody in the comments is like, wow, bro, like you could have just exited out of this conversation. Like it was literally the opposite effect. Like like I'm not saying anything bad about the white queens. Listen, I'm not saying anything bad about them. But I'm just saying, the trend was for who it was for. Okay. Everything can't be remade. These black men, they don't want to be left out of anything. We can't have anything. And it really hurts my heart to think about the fact that we have men out here in this world that are not us, but they appreciate the black woman the way that the black woman should be appreciated. So round of applause for the white kings who appreciate the black girl magic. That's all I got for that. Next up on Spill the Tea. Now, there's a company called Euphoria, okay? Euphoria came out with a makeup line, foundation similar to, what you would see with Maybelline, L'Oreal, Fenty. And initially, this company came out with a line of foundations, and the users were challenging them because they didn't feel as though the shade range was inclusive enough. It kind of like, I'm not very dark. I'm probably a shade darker than a paper bag. But it probably stopped somewhere at this complexion, if not a little bit lighter. So obviously that leaves out the more chocolate people, the people who have, extra doses of melanin. And those people were really upset and felt left down that this company was not inclusive at all. Now, the problem being is when Euphoria decided that they were going to be inclusive, okay? They decided that they were going to be inclusive, but problem with the whole situation is that when the company actually decided to become inclusive, they created a shade which is 600. And quickly, the more melanated people got upset because it resembles black paint. So you actually got influencers who actually put these things side by side. They took the Euphoria number 600 shade, put it on one side, and then they took black paint on the other side. And as you can guess, we couldn't tell the difference. So, a lot of people are enraged because they're like, is this rage bait? Are they just, reacting and going overboard because somebody said they had a problem with their product? I don't know, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good for them. There's no way. Like constantly when we're in these situations, my thought process is always, who in the boardroom was one of us? Okay. They constantly like to make stuff for us, but don't put somebody like us in the room to help them make a smart decision. It's unfortunate that our more melanated brothers and sisters have to go through this. Hopefully, they take this as a learning lesson and learn from it, grow from it, and understand how, creating something of this pigment without, research or, maybe even a trial period where you get a focus group together and figure out their thoughts on your product. Because I think that would have been helpful, get a bunch of people who are that shade and test it out on them and see how it works. But for you all to just put out a foundation that is seemingly just the color black is crazy, and it's crazy disrespectful. So, I understand the pain of our brothers and sisters who, were looking to have something that matches their complexion because it's so rare to have that type of complexion. So I understand how frustrating it can be. And if Fenty doesn't have a shade that's in that, in that range, I would definitely say, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to step in and right their wrongs and take all the business away from Euphoria because apparently they don't care about our business. But anyway, on to other spill the tea topics. This week the Met Gala happened. So with the Met Gala, we always expect to see a bunch of, wild and crazy outfits. We kind of look forward to it at this point because we just never know who's going to be wearing what. So I kind of wanted to just go through and just, give you all a little background, and give you a little insight on who I thought was some of the best dressed and worst dressed at the Met Gala. Now, let's start with the theme for this year was Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion. And then the dress code was specifically the Garden of Time. And I know by some of the outfits that some of the people wore, you really couldn't tell what the theme was. Honestly, at first glance, just looking through a lot of the looks, I was like, oh my God, like, why is this so much black? Like, when you think of a garden, you don't think of the color black. At least I don't. I think of vibrant, colorful, like light colors, things that'll make you happy and think about springtime. So my best dressed overall, you may or you may not agree with it. But my overall favorite outfit that I saw of the night was Harris Reed and Demi Moore. Now, Harris Reed is the designer, and I'm going to say she because I'm going to be inclusive because I'm not 100% what the pronouns are, but I'm going to say that she designed her own outfit as well as she designed Demi Moore. Now, Demi Moore, man, oh my God, like she's been around for so long and she looks amazing. She looks amazing. Like I feel like this is the one case where we can say, you know what? She's not black, but she didn't crack either. So she was looking good. I really enjoyed the outfit. I love the drama that both of them had in their outfits. I think it played well into the theme with the florals. So I loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Next up on my list, now, some of these people, I'm not going to lie, I didn't know who they were prior to seeing the Met Gala this year, but I just really enjoyed the look. So I'm just like, you know what? Whether we know them or not, hey, I'm going to give them their props. As far as my second look, now my second look is from a woman named Lauren Sanchez. She was wearing Oscar de la Renta. Okay. Now the crazy and sad part to me about her outfit was that she was actually named worst dressed by somebody on the internet. And I guess it might have been worst dressed because she was wearing black. But I thought it was the execution was well. She wore a black gown which had mirror pieces on it. And the mirror pieces on the dress actually, framed out the silhouette of a flower. I thought that was amazing. It was creative. It was artistic. I think that it embodied everything that the Met is about. So that was my number two. Now, let's get to the people that we know, okay? Keke Palmer always serves up, okay? Keke Palmer had on Marc Jacobs, okay? Marc Jacobs is one of my favorites when it comes to handbags, glasses, several different things. Her gown was beautiful, okay? I would say that she was giving good if we was thinking in terms of Wizard of Oz, she was giving like the good witch vibes. She was giving like fairy godmother and Cinderella vibes. Okay, she was serving up. Okay, with the high pony. I saw the lady who did her hair and how she actually achieved that look, and I was like, wow, it takes a lot to be creative and to have that vision and bring it to life. It's more than just throwing something together, and you could tell when somebody takes their art seriously. So Keke Palmer, I give her a 10 out of 10. Then, of course, I love my girl Tiana Taylor. So Tiana Taylor, she was dressed in the blondes, okay? Beautiful look. I think that she ate it right on up. And I know y'all saw the tweet or whatever it was, and I don't even know if it was real, but I'm going to assume that it was from her ex-husband, Amon Shumpert, saying that, oh, you ate, but I'm not going to tell you. Sir, you could have just observed from the back real quietly. You didn't have to say nothing because now you're more of a clown than what I thought you were previously. And you look unhappy. But hey, you fumbled the bag. If I fumbled Tiana, I would be mad too. Then we got Nicki Minaj. Now I feel like a lot of people didn't talk enough about Nicki Minaj's look. And normally I'm not even an advocate for Nicki Minaj, but I really loved her outfit. I thought it would fit the theme well. It was nice. It was colorful. It fit her well. I think she was giving Harajuku Barbie. Okay. I think that she was true to her own style and it was beautiful. Nicki Minaj had on Marnie. And I was here for it. 10 out of 10. Now, as far as the men, I feel like the men were very boring. Unless they were, part of the community, I feel like their looks were very, very boring. But my favorite was Jeff Goldblum. He had on Prada. Now, Jeff Goldblum is from, we're back from we're from the 90s. So Jurassic Park, he's most known for that. And I thought he ate down, okay? 4 plus 4 equals 8. I think he was well tailored. I liked everything about it. I loved the glasses that he had on. Everything was beautiful. Like, even though he was in all black, I think it was classic. I think he wore it well. I think he was very tailored. So next, Next, we gotta if we don't talk about the we can't talk about the best without talking about the worst. Now, some of my least favorites, okay? My least favorite looks were from a Malaysian actor named Michelle Yeoh. May not be pronouncing that right, but she had on Balenciaga. Um, I hated it because it just looked like she had on a whole bunch of aluminum foil. I didn't see the vision. I didn't see how that was relevant to the theme. It kind of underwhelmed me. And then Cynthia Erivo. I'm not sure if I pronounced her name. I'm not sure I could pronounce her name correctly either. But the designer she had on was Tom Brown. Now, what I will say is Tom Brown ate down. Okay, he made several looks for the red carpet. On for the Met Gala carpet, and he ate down. Amazing designer from what I can tell. I'm not familiar with him prior to the Met, but he also designed for Queen Latifah as well. Even though none of the designs that he created was on my best dress, I would definitely say execution was amazing. And partially because, most of the looks that he created for the Met was black. So I was just like, okay, that really wasn't, you know, that I guess noticeable and popping for me, because I'm a big person on art. I'm a big person on like avant-garde and things like that. So I just think that he was an amazing designer. He did well, but like none of his looks really ended up in my top five. But Cynthia Erivo's look, she had on a like tux type of outfit, and it was top and bottom, with a little midriff, midi. Now, the body was bodying, okay? I'm not going to take that away from her. The body was bodying. But this outfit to me just didn't do it for me. To me, it kind of just was like, okay, black is classic. Let's go with that. Garden, okay, let's throw some flower petals at it, and let's throw a little bit of butterfly and ladybug. And I wasn't feeling it. It was doing too much for me. It was doing too much for me. And I think my least favorite part was the fact that they stuck that butterfly on the back of her bald head. Like, I understand, we want to add some attention to her top part because, she doesn't have any hair. But like, I don't know. I think that totally was just distasteful. Like, why would you stick that on the back of her head? Um, and then Lizzo. Lizzo was also on my least favorite list. She had on Wine Santo. And I thought the funniest thing was I saw on Facebook that they they said Lizzo looked like a chitterling. A chitlin, y'all. She looked like a chitlin. And I just thought that was so funny. I was just like, I don't know what she was going for. It was a lot going on. Like it was dramatic. If nothing else I can say about Lizzo's outfit, I'm just happy I didn't see her butt, because normally she don't have no clothes on. So I'm happy that she was fully covered up, and she went with it. It might have missed the mark, but she went with it confidently. But not one of my favorite looks. And then another person that they were kind of eating up on the internet was Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino. Mostly because he was giving Steve Harvey chic in his Saint Laurent and Cartier. Don't get me wrong, he was tailored down, you know what I mean, clean, okay. But I didn't see how it related to the theme. I just think that he took it as an opportunity to get dressed, and that's what he did, so definitely on my least favorite list. Now, honorable mentions, most mentioned on the internet about their looks was Kim Kardashian. She had Mason Margiela. And now I will say her gown was amazing. It was amazing. It didn't make my top list only because sis had this cardigan on. And for the life of us, we're trying to figure out why you got this cardigan on. Well, apparently she said that she had this cardigan on because her look was, I woke up and I had to grab something that reminded me of my boyfriend, or something crazy that she said, and she just threw it on. And I'm just like, It's giving. Maybe you had a malfunction in the sprinter on the way there, and you kind of had to grab something to hide something. Because I wouldn't see why you wanted to hide that beautiful dress. And then the second person that was mentioned the most was Tyler. Make me sweat, make me harder, make me lose my. All right. Listen, I know y'all didn't come here for that, but Tyler had on Balmain, Balmain, however you want to pronounce it. Her dress was fully made out of sand. So that's just creative in its own, the fact that the dress was made out of sand. But she was the most mentioned because there's so many videos going around of her being picked up and placed onto the Met Gala carpet. Just because I guess the dress was just so delicate, they probably wanted to preserve it. And then there's other videos where, they kind of made the dress more functional for her later in the evening, where the designer actually cut the bottom off of her dress. So most mentionable, I would say underwhelming, just greatly underwhelming. Like, not to say that they look bad, but just wasn't given. Y'all know I love me some Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. Honestly, I guess the rumors about their marriage was false because they're still together. I don't know. But anyway, Gabby had on what looked like a mermaid scale type of dress that had like a ombre of colors. And then Dwayne had on like a lavender suit that was tailored. Don't get me wrong, they look nice, but I was just completely underwhelmed by that look. J-Lo. I think J-Lo is also somebody who consistently just underwhelms me with their style choices. Not because she doesn't look good, because I mean, come on now. Anybody with eyes can say that J-Lo is a beautiful woman. But I just think that J-Lo never overwhelms me because she knows her silhouette. She knows what she looks good in. And she just constantly chooses not to deviate from that aesthetic. And I just would love to see her step out of her comfort zone. I would love to just see her just be bold and just stand out a little bit more and give us some color and dramatics. So underwhelmed. And then lastly, Doja Cat. I feel like at this point, Doja Cat is constantly the topic of conversation because of her outlandish, outfits that she chooses to wear. I think that, she does things for the wow factor of it. And I'm kind of just over it. I feel like I'm tired of hearing the same old sad song. Sis came out on the carpet with a oversized white t-shirt that was wet, that you could clearly see, her private areas up under, as you would think that you would in a wet t-shirt. And it just wasn't given. I would say that it wasn't completely off just because, somewhere in the theme, there was materials that, were older that may not stand the test of time, like that whole concept or whatever. So she wasn't the only one who actually went with the theme of wearing a t-shirt as a dress. But I just think that she missed the mark because like she could have did so much more. Like, for her to be as dramatic as she is with her looks, I just expected a little bit more from her than the obvious. Of like us just looking and be like, what is Doja Cat doing this week? So definitely missed the mark with that. Totally underwhelmed. And then lastly, I'm going to give it to a plus size baddie. Okay, plus size baddie. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I'm going to say is Davine Joy Randolph. She had on a beautiful denim gown made by The Gap, which surprised me because I was like, oh my God, like that's beautiful. Well crafted, well put together. She looked amazing in it. And then she had this very fiery red hair, like a ginger color red hair. And I loved it. I loved every minute for it. I lived for it. I mean, she was so poised and she put on for the plus size girlies. It was given. I saw the vision. I don't know if this was their vision, but this was my vision. I saw when I looked at her, Brave, the Disney cartoon. I felt like she was trying to reimagine and bring that look to the modern day and to the red carpet. So I really enjoyed that look. I thought her execution was amazing. But those are my thoughts for the Met Gala. What were some of your favorites? Did you agree with some of the favorites that I have, or was I all the way off, or did I miss somebody? Oh, and before I move on, there was a lot of AI going on. Okay, a lot of AI foolishness. Because there were several looks going around of Beyonce. Beyonce wasn't there. Several looks of Rihanna. Rihanna wasn't there. So I just think that like I always say, AI is the new thing, and I can detect it, which I don't understand why other people can't detect it, because to me it looks fake. But nonetheless, just keep your eye out for stuff like that, because I mean, one day we probably won't pay it any attention. We probably won't be able to tell if it's real or not. It just seems like that's the direction that we're going in. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the Met Gala? Did you tune in? Did you not tune in? All that good stuff. Now, speaking of the Met Gala, I would like to take this time to give somebody their props. Now, Lala Anthony, she actually hosted interviews on the Met Gala carpet. Amazing job. She looked beautiful as she always does, but I would like to give her her props. Now, the reason why I want to give her her props is because I think it's notable to say, one, Lala Anthony has longevity. She has consistency. She has a work ethic in the media world that a lot of people can't say that they have. We always pay homage to the Wendy Williams of the world. But I believe that Lala Anthony, she deserves her flowers because she's been putting in work for years now. Back in the early 2000s, Lala was a radio host in ATL. She then moved on to be like a video jockey on MTV. Then she also hosted several of the love shows like Flavor of Love and things of that nature on VH1. And then eventually she transitioned into acting, with her first appearance being Two Can Play That Game with Vivica Fox and Morris Chestnut, which was one of my favorite films, which is still one of my favorite films. To this day, I can recite every word to it without even looking at the screen. So I definitely remember seeing her in that movie because she was in that scene where they were at the party and Keith was trying to make Vivica jealous with Gabrielle Union. If for those who know, they know. But she definitely did an amazing job. I think that she has an amazing speaking voice. And then also modern day, she was in Think Like a Man. She was Lakeisha in Power, and she's currently Markeisha Taylor in BMF. And so I definitely want to give her her props. I think that the way that she transitioned from her passion of being in media and things of that nature, and then also challenge herself to be an actress, and then all the while of staying true to her roots, because even to this day she's one of the only black faces that you see on the Met Gala carpet in those different places where you don't particularly see us. And I think that she translates well. I just think that she deserves her flowers. So we're going to give her her flowers. Keep up the good work, Lala. Definitely somebody that I look up to, somebody that I would definitely take notes from, being in media. And hopefully one day I get to, bump elbows with her somewhere and get some of her, pick her brain a little bit and figure out, what makes her tick and what keeps her going and just all of those good things. So that's who I want to give props to this week. Now, moving on. We got a couple of topics. It's a couple of things. I think I'm going to start high because one of the things that I want to talk about is not a very happy subject. I came across a video on TikTok of a young lady who basically said that when a man is not financially confident, he dates a big girl because she typically pays for everything and is willing to do more.
When the men are not financially confident, that's who they run to, the bigger girls, because most big girls are going to have good credit, have some money, and be able to help take care of them.
And cook.
Bigger woman says, help. Smaller woman says, oh, I have to carry that load. Oh, I got to take care of her. Bigger woman says, she going to help me. She going to put this load over her back. So
because that's what she has to do to keep a man, to maintain a man.
To make up for it.
Yeah.
So the man, again, not want to just sacrifice, step up, be by yourself for some time, get your money right. I'll just go get a big girl, she'll help me.
It's easy.
I was over here minding my business. We did the BBWs did not send for you, ma'am. Could have minded your whole business. What man made you mad because he chose a BBW over you. Because that's what it's given. It's given you're mad because you thought you were better than a big girl and your man must have chose a big girl over you. That's all I can conclude. Because what? Like, where do you even get that thought from? Um, it's far fetched. It's far fetched. I'm sure there's a lot of broke men who date baddies or try to anyway. Or try to. Um I don't particularly think that broke men go after big girls. Um I I don't see it. Like in all the history that I've had, I don't think me being a bigger girl was the reason why any man went for me. Now, I say that loosely only because at a point in my life, I did have extremely low self esteem. So I'm sure that somebody preyed on my, insecurities and preyed on the fact that, I wasn't as confident as I could have been being a big girl, as I am today. Okay. I'm confident today. I live in my skin and I know who I am. I don't let, me being a bigger girl really affect me, honestly. I am who I am. God made me the way I am, and I accept that. But I'm sure there was a man at some point in my past that probably preyed on my downfall of just not having um, high self esteem. But at the same time, I didn't buy these niggas nothing. Like, if you would have said a man that's hungry dates a big girl because he want a meal, I might would have understood that. I might would have understood that. Or if you would have said a man that, don't want to be cold in the wintertime dates a big girl so he can be warm, I might would have agreed with you on that. But it's a little far-fetched to say that a man don't have no money dates a big girl so that she can provide for him. That's wild, okay? That's wild. I need you to change your perspective because there's a lot of BBWs, a lot of plus-size baddies that are out here, being true to themselves, loving every roll and crevice, and still dressing and wearing whatever it is that they want to wear, and they're doing it confidently. Okay, so don't be mad because your man wanted to lay up under some of these. Well, he wanted some of this cushion, okay? He wanted this body heat. So don't be mad, sis. Take your L and bow out gracefully. Now, let me bring down the mood. All right, this next thing that I'm going to talk about. I felt like I have to speak on it because it's something that's happening not too far from where I live. It's something that is happening that is just close to home. We talk a lot about racial issues and how racism still presents itself today. And it's very sad that we still have to deal with these circumstances. So I'm not sure if you all have heard about the situation here in Pennsylvania, what happened in Dauphin County, not too far away from here. His name is Justin Johnson. He was a 16-year-old boy um, who was, I don't want to say, he was a 16-year-old boy who passed away tragically due to complications with pre-existing conditions. But the reason why this case is sparking national interest at this point is because it was at the hands of some children who were not melanated. Um, and basically, it was captured on a video that this young man was being taunted, he was being hazed, he was, enduring racial slurs and things of that nature. And so a lot of people are, basically saying that the antagonization that was going on by the hands of these other teenagers were the cause and the reason for this young man passing away. Now the full story is that they were playing a game called Senior Assassin. Now, the game Senior Assassin, first of all, I've never heard of this game, but Senior Assassin The way that the game goes, apparently it has been around for decades, but it's right now making waves on TikTok and social media and growing importance again. But basically, it's a tag like game that often includes a list of classmates who target others involved in the game until one person is left standing. And so basically, it is said that these young men, came to Justin's house or called and asked could he come out or something like that on a Monday. He said no. And then more towards the end of the week, they showed up to his home and kind of antagonized him and said, hey, come outside, whatever, whatever. He's notably had called his dad and told him that he didn't really want to. He was kind of scared. So he goes outside to participate in this game with his classmates. And you can visibly see him running and fearful for his life. And you hear some of the students basically saying, go back to Africa and things of that nature. And you can see him visibly kind of hide away from the people that are chasing him. The cause of death. So, basically, once he makes it back into the home after the game, he's exasperated. He has pre-existing conditions. He has sickle cell. And basically, the amount of activity that he endured is what triggered him to, pass away. So the coroner actually ruled that the cause of death was complications with a sickle cell, and then cardiomyopathy was also a factor. And right now, they are basically asking for patience as they do a thorough investigation. Right now, they're checking messages on the phones of all the people that were involved to see what type of conversations were leading up into this night, to see if there was any foul play or malicious intent involved. And they're just doing a very thorough investigation. There was a protest this past week that happened where the children organized, on their own and basically in protest of this activity that was going on, because they feel as though that adults are not, putting the importance on this issue as much as they feel it should be. And so, definitely want to say rest in peace to this young man. He definitely had a promising future, being that his parents migrated from Jamaica not too long before. So I'm sure they came to this country with hopes that, he would succeed and go further and, just basically put his best foot forward and, do what his parents would hope that he would do coming to this country with all the opportunities. So definitely rest in peace to this young man. It's very a tragic story that he passed away and lost his life this way. My personal opinion about this situation is that, I feel as though a lot of the parents of the other children involved would say, "Oh, it wasn't their intention. Oh, they didn't mean it that way." But I think this is a teachable moment. Like, you as a parent have to take responsibility for how your child chooses to relate to the world. If your child is being insensitive and saying things that can be construed as racially, motivated and racial slurs, you kind of have to look at yourself and wonder why your child is so comfortable with speaking that way to a person that's different than them. There's more work to be done. There's more work to be done. I really encourage those parents who are of the Caucasian persuasion to educate your children. Educate them on how to be respectful of other people who don't look like them. Educate them on social cues. And, it's just it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation. I'll keep you posted. I really don't have much to say about it. It's a tragic situation. I'm sure that his family will never be the same again, losing their child. So definitely sending my condolences to them as well. It's a tragic situation. I hate the fact that our social media and TikTok, I vouch for TikTok for so many different things, but the one thing that I will never be able to vouch for TikTok for is the impact that it has on our youth. We don't see it because the algorithm definitely adds up for the things that you're interested in. But just imagine the kid that is in high school and what they see, the amount of challenges that they have that they lose their life from because it's not a good challenge to do. And because these kids, they say the frontal lobe doesn't fully develop until age 25. So you got these kids that really don't have the right capacity to be able to make smart decisions. And so it saddens me that TikTok is that for them. If nothing else, when they take TikTok away, I can definitely stand behind, it not having the negative impact that it has on our youth. So I definitely send my support, my condolences, my love to the family. And I definitely say, hopefully justice will be done. I just feel as though, we talked about the Kendrick Johnson case last season and how they swept that whole situation under the rug. I just pray that any of the children that were involved don't have parents that have connection in high places, because I already feel that if they do, they're going to sweep it up under the rug like nothing has ever happened. And it's just going to be looked at as, oh, give them a little slap on the wrist and, community service or whatever the case may be. Manslaughter, involuntary or voluntary, is a crime. And I feel like these children need to be taught a lesson that will impact them for their lives and let them know that treating a person this way is not okay. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Sistah Talk podcast. I'm your host, Gold Chain Diva. I hope that you run to the chat and give me your thoughts on some of these topics that I spoke about this week. And I hope that you all have an amazing week and be happy. Choose happiness and be nice people and have integrity. Okay. Just be the best version of yourself this week. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. Do something that you never did. Compliment somebody that you never complimented. Just be nice and just see what comes back to you, because karma is real, good or bad. So put the energy out into the world that you want to see in return. So thanks for tuning in. If you would like to follow me on social media, my name is Goldchain__diva on social media, and that's all platforms. Have a great night.